Hi all, thought I'd have a game in the evening, early evening. So 2089, KjellB. Alright, I think I'm going to surprise my opponent with B3. I'm going to offer a gambit and later play for F3 now. So gambit situation now. So what's the idea, you think? Have I lost my marbles playing this gambit? I think I might have some compensation because A, it's a 5-minute game, and B, if he's out of his comfort zone, castles and D4 he'll be thinking quite a while over that. If knight D4 here, I think queen takes B7. Okay, check, king D1 takes, but bishop B5 check will be dangerous. So fine, he can take on C2, king D1 takes, I think bishop B5. Big trouble for black. King E7, bishop A3 is winning the queen. So I think the opening gambit has so far paid off.
Peter's individuality was again illustrated in 2007 when he sensed an opportunity missed by his fellow dragon.
So taking this B7 pawn is significant for this diagonal. Okay. Now if king D1, I've noticed actually knight E3, which is really annoying. So maybe I should avoid that and actually just play king F1. On the other hand, king D1, knight E3, king C1, knight takes C4, queen C6. Unless he wants to lose the rook by playing queen D7, he'll have to move the king. But then I haven't got bishop A3 checks, he'll have knight takes A3. So in that position, maybe he's okay, or maybe not, I don't know. If I take on C4, I've got the threat of bishop A3. How would the king escape? Or maybe he just plays queen D6. But then I'll take the rook on A8. So I don't know. Maybe king D1 is playable. I think I'll try that variation, allowing knight E3. So I think this is powerful, this queen C6. Well, I've just realised knight D7 in that line, and black will be fine. Ouch. Oh dear. So there was no need to lose that poor bishop on C4. Oh. So is he going to play knight E3 or not? Surprisingly he hasn't. I don't know. Knight E3 would have been fine, I think. So I'll go check. Oh, there's knight D7 anyway here. Right, that makes sense. But bishop D7, queen E7, I can take the rook on A8. So I've got compensation here. I can keep the king in the centre. So if the bishop moves, bishop D7 maybe. Keep the king in the centre. Okay. Maybe actually knight D5 is interesting. Takes rook E1. Bishop G7, rook moves, bishop F6. That would be nice. Knight D5. So trying to tear open the king in the centre here with knight D5. If rook B8, I think bishop takes D7. Right. I think knight D5, even in this position, is kind of interesting. But bishop D7 keeps the king in the centre, so I think maybe bishop D7 has to be played. Right, so now maybe, I don't know, knight E4, but then queen B8. Still, I think it's dangerous for the king here. Maybe actually queen B5, but then there's C6, and there's nothing there, is there? So knight E4 seems right, actually, to open up this bishop on the diagonal. So if Queen B8, maybe Queen A6, and I can still come to D3. So I've got some new threats now, like bishop takes G7. So there's no knight C5 here or anything, so Queen goes to A6 now. I think I've got Queen D3, I've got the king safety aspect. This bishop's not bad on the diagonal. If I can play something like Rook E1, also E6 might become weak in the future. But the current issue is king. Maybe actually King E2 to play check and then Rook C1 is a good idea. In fact, I don't know, but with F6 he's blunted the bishop at E6 weaker, so I think Rook E1 now. So with the threat of knight takes F6 or knight C5 to try and win E6. Maybe knight takes F6 is the nicest there. Okay. Okay. Now, check, I think. Right, so king's still in the centre. Maybe Queen G3 here, attacking G7. Looks kind of interesting. So C7 and G7 being targeted. Right. Maybe now Queen G4 with the idea of Queen H5 check. Okay. Provokes another weakness. Now I wonder if knight G5 is working here. Takes, it's not really. So Queen F3, the potential threat of knight G5 and knight takes E6. This pawn's now, the rook's now committed to protecting the pawn, so maybe this isn't that bad. The opponent hasn't got too much time to defend this. Okay, I can play Queen G3 again, with the idea of Queen takes G7. I think I'll go for that, leaving the knight on that powerful E4 square for a bit longer. So it takes the knight, Queen G7, Queen takes H8. If Bishop F6, not really sure, maybe I take and then Queen H4 attacking the F6 pawn. He could play like Rook H6, I guess. But it seems to be a bit of a contortion act. So, okay, knight G5 here picks up the dark square bishop. I think I like that. I think that's good compensation then for the exchange. This huge bishop on this diagonal. And if he plays G6 now, there's Queen F6. So it's difficult to defend this H5 pawn, I think. Okay. I can also play bishop takes G7. The idea rook takes and queen takes D8 now. That does seem to be an interesting idea, but Queen H5 is also interesting, but maybe King E7. So maybe, I don't know, Bishop takes G7 might be more accurate, but then Rook takes, Queen takes, Rook G2. So I think I'll grab this pawn first, actually, after all. And the King's making a run for it, so I'll try and grab another pawn, I think. So that pawn's pinned. And maybe I want to try and get this bishop on this diagonal as well. So something like Bishop C3 protects, or Bishop B2, I think, a bit sneakier to play Bishop A3. So will the opponent spot that threat? Check. Ah, this is winning the rook on G8. So it seems to be a bit of a disaster now. Okay, he's threatening to mate me, so I'll have to protect D2. Now if I can play A4 and Queen B5, that would be nice. Oops. Oh, that's mate anyway. So, fun game there. Hope you enjoyed it. So we'll play quick. So this surprise gambit is taking the opponent out of territory. It's interesting. Maybe I should have just played here or considered king f1 to avoid this knight e3 possibility. The opponent might have looked at this because there was a big pause, but it took there. It's knight d7. But I thought I had some compensation here now for the exchange. So being able to probe these weaknesses on the king side was great fun. And when this darts go bishop, I was much more confident now after that. Lots of compensation, with the bishop also being able to use this diagonal potentially. So winning the rook there. And then it's a4 setting up queen b5 coming up. So actually I missed this threat, but it didn't really matter. That threat of queen b5 is very good. Please leave any comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.